This is very, very much more extreme than I had begun to imagine.
Drive time on IFM, your jam-packed show, keeping you on the go.
It is exactly caught up 13 minutes past the hour of 5 on IFM Drive Time. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Welcome one, welcome all. It is the second hour of Drive Time, and right now I just want us to zoom into our conversation for this segment. And the focus really, it is on the education system in the country. We have seen actually that the youngsters are done with their metric exams, and the Minister of Basic Education, Minister Andy Moshecha, came out saying that the exams went smooth and it was successful and it went on without any glitches of sort. So with that, actually, I just want us to zoom into maybe some other aspects, anything, about education in South Africa, because many people have criticized the fact that, the education system that we have right now, it does not hold, much water, and there is just a lot that is lacking. And looking at also the disconnect between the affluent, communities or schools and our township schools, like what is the disconnect between the two? And also looking at the education system that we have right now, we had this conversation before, but I feel like we don't talk about this enough on a daily basis, so that at least we have more understanding about what's working and what's not working. So right now I'll be joined. Let me just welcome my brother in the studio, brother Luyanda. Welcome to Drive Time, and thanks so much for joining us once again.
Thank you so much, my brother Shafiq. I would like to greet all the listeners of IFM, whether in Eastern Cape, throughout South Africa, and also I know that there are international listeners as well who are streaming this particular program online. Greetings to all. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for that. Oh, it sounds like we're having a debate here of sorts. Too formal.
It's a conversation, my brother.
Yeah, it has to be formal, right?
A chilled conversation.
Oh, yes. Nice. So let's start by, taking a look at the current state of education in South Africa. While there have been significant improvements, since the end of apartheid, we always look back into that. There are still major challenges that needs to be addressed. Many schools in our communities, more especially in poor communities, lack basic resources. Looking at textbooks, proper infrastructure, and qualified teachers as well. We have seen, of course, this program where they take assistant teachers, sometimes unqualified, like they are, and they go and teach in these setups.
True.
And looking into that, actually, this has a direct impact on the quality of education that children in these communities receive. So maybe there are some other issues that you might highlight, but this is where I want us to begin our conversation on.
Yes. Thank you so much about that wonderful points that you've highlighted, because they are very fundamental as well in order to discuss and able to find the amicable working solutions that will improve the quality education system here in South Africa. Because as much as government has tried, but unfortunately, when we analyze our current education system, for example, like I, as a young person, I still remember at that time that I attended like the high school, right? The pass mark was actually 50%.
Okay.
At that time, I still remember we were prepared and trained so that we can able to compete at university, we can able to compete at tertiary institutions, and also fundamental, we can able to compete with our peers globally. But you find out now, as we speak today, the pass mark for the matriculants, the requirement, it's
31%, 30%, yeah.
Exactly. So
how did we go from 50% to 30%? Because I remember there was a time when they were speaking about 40%.
Yes. So it's a wonderful question about that. Like with Department of Education, they've tried to analyze the current situation, and they were analyzing as well the performance of the students And then they find out that most of the students were not performing very well in terms of able to excel in terms of their examinations and so forth. Because you still remember it was 50%, and then they lower it to 40%.
Yeah.
And then, to my surprise, just because they are claiming they are helping the children, but at the same time, that is destructive to the young children as well. Because the fact of the matter, I know it personally, if you have a matriculant that has passed with 30%, they are struggling at university. They are struggling at colleges as well, even to grasp the curriculum.
Yes.
Because at least we should able to help and empower the youth out there so that they can able to compete with their peers globally.
Yes. Yes. So now I'm looking at what you are just saying right now. We have moved from 50% to 40%. Now we are at 30%, right?
Yes.
And also on top of that, they are saying that if a child did not do better, with that 30%, they have to give them, let's say, 4%. So that it can boost them somewhere there. Like, I don't understand. Like what you have just said now, you are killing the children. Because if the child did not get 50% mark, pass, you'll find that there is a problem behind that.
Yes.
So why did the child didn't get that mark? Why did the child did not do well in that subject or whatever the subjects that they are lacking on?
Yes.
Now you are saying that, okay, so that we don't care, what they have studied, if they have studied or not, but all we want is just they must just, I know in Finland they don't write exams.
Yes.
So that's something that we can look into.
Yes.
But for me, it is a matter of reducing the quality of education, because there. It means you are reducing the quality of education.
Yes.
So it means the children might not pay much attention to what's going on in the class.
Yes.
Because they know for a fact that 30% is nothing.
Yes. Exactly. So, like personally and obviously as well, like in my organization, of course, we believe in a high quality education. And I like what you've highlighted as well, because you don't just make decisions or policies or regulations without understanding even the psychological problem of the students. Because you'll find out that most of the schools, unfortunately, especially in townships and in rural areas as well, there are no psychologists or social workers that are allocated in those schools as well. So imagine how beautiful it is if we can have social workers, we can have school psychologists, but to find out the deeper issues that are underlying this. You find out there are a lot of social problems among these young people. So at least for me, I think it would be great if at least we can try to come up with such interventions as well, such as school psychologists, such as school social workers, so that we can find out the deeper problems, not to look at top level, to find out that iceberg concern, so that we can able to help the child, to find out why the child is not performing, so that we can take it from there and able to help the child. And also our education system, it's currently, as much as they are trying, but I must say it's outdated in the way. There's so much that needs to be implemented.
I was going to go there. We were going to go there, rather, because that's something that we have been, looking at for a very long time now, looking at the outdated system of education, school curriculum, whatsoever. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, in a studio, in a conversation with Brother Luyanda Mfilifil, the conscious thinker. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So just maybe for those who might not know, Luyanda is from the Youth Advisory Committee.
Youth Forum.
Youth Forum,
Yes.
right? That is of Action SA. By the way, he's not here in the capacity of any political party. He is here as he is. You are a chairperson now of?
Youth Forum.
Youth
Eastern
Forum.
Cape. Yes.
So he's a chairperson of Youth Forum in the Eastern Cape?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So that means that he's got more understanding of what's happening on the ground. And I'm going to hold you accountable right now as we're having this conversation. So before we do that, before we even go further, I want us to play, go for a bit of a break.
Yes.
And then we are going to come back and look into accountability that I've just said right now.
Yes.
Because we speak about, free education. We speak about, servicing what. But who is responsible for all these things? The government, right? And the question is, how do we hold the government accountable on the failures that are happening in our school system? So think about that.
Okay.
We are going to come back from a break.
All right.
Introducing the new ABSA Islamic Depositor Plus account.
Yeah, I know there are not much people watching right now, but they always come back and watch. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, please would like you to be part of the conversation. If you do have anything else to contribute, make sure that you send, put a comment here in the description below, and we are going to read out the comments. And also, if you don't read the comments now, we are going to take this conversation further and with your suggestions and expand on this conversation, because we feel like it is so necessary that we have these conversations. We keep the conversation going in the studio, outside the studio, on social media. So let's get into it. In the studio with me, Luyanda, the conscious thinker. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you can see him right there. I don't know.
Okay.
It looks like we have quite a few things on the way.
Yeah, so greetings to them.
Yeah. Tonight.
I just hope so.
Oh, you hope so? Wow. Okay.
Maybe this is going to be better.
Yes. So I hear now that the is calling for NEC special meeting so that they can ask him amicably to step down. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I mean, we're not supposed to be discussing politics now, but what else can I do when I have opportunity?
Okay, I can say by the look of the situation, maybe is going to decide to step down because of so many issues and the pressure that is happening with other political parties.
Okay.
Yes.
As I can see here, he was having like a number of support, from other branches. They say they voted for him in numbers.
The only show that gets you going. This is Drive Time.
Brother Luyanda, so as you are now, the chairperson of the advisory committee of
Youth Forum.
Youth
Yes.
Forum, and I do believe that with that you have gathered more information, ammunitions, for us, so that we hold you accountable. How can we hold the government accountable for its failures in providing equal access to quality education for all South African children? Because we have seen the disparities, or maybe the disconnect between the affluent schools and also the community. What am I saying?
Yes.
The poor community in schools.
Yes.
For instance, if you take a school in Motherwell, at the heart of Motherwell,
Yes.
New Bright, and take a school, let's say, in town. I don't know which school I can give an example of.
Yeah,
But
maybe Gray High School, college.
Isn't that private owned?
Yeah,
Right?
private owned. Yes.
Yeah. So, but there are those schools.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention the names, right?
Yes.
Where is the disconnect here, and how do we hold the government accountable? That's a very important question. I felt like we can talk about.
Yeah, it starts at the top level, right? At the decision making, we'll not beat around the bush. It starts at the National Department of Education to hold the minister, the current minister, when accountable, and also it goes down at a provincial level, the provincial MEC, and also at the district level. Do you know also what used to work before? Each and every school, even at townships, even at rural areas, there was somebody which is called a school inspector.
Okay.
School inspectors who are employed at the district level to make sure that they conduct regular visits at primary schools, at high schools, to make sure that they hold even the principals accountable, so that the principals in turn can able to hold their teachers accountable. But we know that
so that the teachers can hold the learners accountable.
Exactly. So unfortunately, I don't know what happened to that policy, but unfortunately, we can't go far if there's corruption. Although I don't want to be too political, but there's like a
no. We cannot shy away from bringing up the politics of these things.
Yes.
What happens on the political arena, influences whatever the divisions that we have.
Yes.
Because we say that those are our leaders, people who are supposed to be making our decisions, who are supposed to be providing us with the services that we need.
Exactly.
So if now we don't say politics,
exactly, because we can't shout away that there's a gross corruption, like especially in our education system, in fact in all the departments, but it's a topic for another day. It starts with a accountability mechanism.
Okay.
To make sure that there are strong regulations, and also we do have also the independent regulators or the independent ombudsman. Those independent organizations are responsible to conduct at least a quarterly assessment, to run like the assessment, to conduct the audits of each, and able to conduct these regular on the spot checks and audits to make sure that they are there to audit the finances, to audit the maladministration, to audit the management, to audit the service delivery, to audit like the managers, but to audit. In 2004, there was still Thabo Mbeki. Obviously the first president was Nelson Mandela, and then after that was Thabo Mbeki. But you find out in the mid 2000s, I mean, starting from the mid 2000s up towards the late 2000s, with the change also in presidency, with Jacob Zuma as well.
They decided that was not, that was not playing any significant role in uplifting the quality education that we're supposed to have.
Like to my surprise, I think there's a lack of monitoring there. There's a lack of monitoring. There's so much, unfortunately, corruption that has been done for years and years in terms of looting the state resources.
Yes.
But we are here to come up with the amicable solutions as I've presented as well, such as making sure that each and every department, whether you speak about the budget, whether you speak about audits, if you speak about even the curriculum itself as well, we need independent bodies to make sure that they do or run regular audits as well in terms of that. And also, let's also ask ourselves, are those people who are leading the education system, are they qualified? Or maybe they were appointed just because
of deployment.
Exactly, cadre deployment, connections, friendships. That is one other thing that is killing our education system as well. It seems that we don't appoint people based on qualifications. We don't appoint people based on, because we need scientists like who be involved in the education system, especially in key decision areas. We need scientists, we need engineers, we need mathematicians, we need accountants. So unfortunately, if the education system is run by cadres, maybe someone that's never even studied at university for education system, we can't expect our education system to perform in terms of that. Also, we should check on our leaders. How are they appointed in terms of that?
Yeah, I mean, that is a really, really great point. Cadre deployment has always been an issue. I know some other political parties that have been fighting against this cadet deployment whatsoever. But that's the problem that we have, right? And I do believe that by next year, things will be addressed accordingly. So coming back to, the accountability, I just want to zoom into the community. You have given us, your insight in terms of maybe the inspectors, looking at the corruption that is playing part in all this. So I want to look into the role that the community members or organizations they can play in making sure that we address the educational disparities, more especially in poor communities.
Yes, that's a great point, like you've highlighted, Brother Shafiq. Like each and every school, we're supposed to have functioning SGBs, school governing bodies. So the parents, they are also stakeholders of the education system. If we can allow SGBs, the school governing bodies, because let's be fair, or let's be transparent, or let's be practical, SGBs, especially in model schools or schools in suburb, they are working very well. There's transparency. Even the principal is holding a regular meeting with the SGBs. It's not only limited on SGBs, and also there must be a transparency as well to make sure that even the meetings, they call regular meetings and make sure they involve the parents who are stakeholders of education as well. But unfortunately, in townships, even the SGPs yes, it's a topic it's a topic of another day as well, because we need to have even what is also failing as well. You know that the education system as well is being destroyed by SADTU. Like the union, the union SADTU, it's heavily involved on trying to influence the government to protect the teachers, even the teachers who are not even doing their jobs, because the teachers, they have a long list of teachers of complaining why things are not going very well. But at least we know that the teachers are trying their best, and also they are working under strenuous conditions. But having said that as well, there's too much carelessness, carefree as well, because I've experienced even at high school whereby you have a teacher that is not even bothering to come at the school for more than a week. The teacher is missing in action. There's no accountability in terms of that, but they know that the teachers, they have a protection, someone that will safeguard their interest, which is called a SADTU, what a organization or a union that is defending the teachers.
But should we say that those union organizations are entirely bad?
They are not entirely bad, but they need to be properly regulated. It's good to have unions to protect the interests of the teachers, but they have a too much political interference on the education system. They are politicized. They politicize the education system. Now, that is a space that's not supposed to be political. So we need to make sure that we regulate the role of the unions as well in terms of that, so that at least they should not interfere with the progress of the education system, with the quality of teaching, with the quality of education system, with the quality of school performance, whether we're speaking about primary level, high school level, even at tertiary institutions as well.
As you are mentioning all this about, the union, I saw them, when was this? There was some march that was taking place at some point, not too long ago. I just can't recall, what was the issue, but in what you are saying right now, there are couple of things, The union is important. It is necessary. It is relevant in addressing the issues, that are encountered by the teachers. And I think most of the times they come through when there is money involved. So it's only when there's money involved. So I don't understand why only that time matters.
Exactly, because you hardly hear, or especially you hardly hear or listen to any leaders of SADTU fighting for the transformation of the education system. fighting for the curriculum system, which is currently outdated. They will always politicize the interests of the teachers who are not doing their job, because that's why in fact, I'm very passionate about this topic, because I'm a young people myself as well, because I want young people, especially here in South Africa. It does not matter whether you are coming from a disadvantaged community. I believe in a South Africa whereby each and every child is not excluded based on maybe skin color, based on a community where you come from, but whereby there's a free equality, so that each and every young person can able to access the high standard of quality education. We should address as well the inequality in the education system as well. That is something that is also killing. But I do not agree with free education. I do not agree. But at least,
why don't you agree with it?
Okay, that's a very good question. Like the answer, it's very simple. The budget is operating. I mean, the current government or the government system is operating with the budget.
Okay.
The education system, it's not, especially free education, is not practical, right? Let's agree upon that. You can make research even globally. You can make research, especially if we can compare ourselves like with other developing countries around the world as well. There is no country that can claim free education. You find out if they claim free education, you find out they are also not performing very well in other departments as well. So free education, it's not practical, but we can implement like relevant mechanism of student loans, student bursaries, especially to assess the living conditions of each and every child, to assess what is the income of that household, so that those who cannot really afford, at least they can able to be provided with an education funding, but so that they can also in return some sort of a loan. A loan, it's a mechanism that creates a responsibility and accountability. Otherwise, the state will be bankrupt, but at least we can able to provide a loan so that they can pay even a far more lower interest as well, like maybe 5%, 10%, something of that sort as well. Because if we will implement the free education, will bankrupt the economy of this country. You can research and go all over the world.
So when there is money, then let's say there is money for ABCD, and then we don't use the money for the ABCD, and the money gets to go back or forfeited into the treasury. What do we say about that? Because I find it very interesting when we speak a different language, there is no money.
Yes.
By the way, the Department of Education was broken into. I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So that's also another issue, security and all that stuff.
Yes.
And where were the security personnel? You know, the guards, where were they?
Yes.
And yesterday also I was speaking to, I think the media liaison, who is Mr. Mtima, from Eastern Cape Department of Education, and we touched on a bit of this. So I said to him, we are going to have a time set aside and have all the facts together so that we can actually scrutinize your department. He agreed to that. So I think we need to have a thorough conversation in terms of what we are having now, because it is through these kind of conversations we are going to, hold the government accountable. And also making sure that the government, the school system is functional. It is a collective effort. From the community members, organizations, political parties, and everything else.
Even the young people.
The young people as well.
They are the most important stakeholders as well. If young people can also voice out their concerns, and also to hold these government representatives accountable as well. Not only, we don't promote like violence as well. Don't go out there and destroy the property or the state property. No, there are other mechanisms you can use as well to hold the government responsible as well. Even not so long ago, even in my organization, especially as a youth forum as well,
Yes.
we normally hold the government responsible as well. Even recently, we wrote an open letter to the premier himself, Oscar Mabuyane, of the incident that has transpired that involved especially the death of the young children. Yes, we made sure that we're holding like the provincial leaders accountable, but unfortunately, we're expecting.
We are going to come back to that conversation because even yesterday when I was speaking to Mr. Mtima, I asked him about, what measures have they put in place in ensuring that this year we don't have to experience that type of tragedy, and also we don't have to experience youngsters getting into situations that we are going to regret later. So what measures have you put in place as Department of Education? He said, it is not the responsibility of the Department of Education to safeguard these young kids out of school premises. When they go home, it is the responsibility of parents. That's what he said. But anyway, we are going to come back to that later on. Earlier on, we were speaking about the money and everything else. I remember there was a time, if I just had to Google it, right? I remember there was a time when the money was forfeited to Treasury, and I'm looking at the article, that was issued by the Action SA on the 13th of January 2023. Action SA issued a statement lamenting the sad state of affairs at Eastern Cape schools. We highlighted the fact that Eastern Cape government forfeited 205 million rand meant for the construction and maintenance of schools is a tragedy.
It's a really, really tragic.
Yeah. So when I was asking you about, when you spoke about finance and everything else, I felt like, no, it cannot be finance. We have the money. You have the irregular expenditures in municipality. There has been this issue of clean audits or lifestyle audit, to municipal workers, but nothing has come to effect on that. We have had all these allegations, going to our mayor, and he has faced a motion of no confidence whatsoever because of all these kind of things, corruption, what. But nothing has been addressed. So there is money. But it is where the money is being channeled to.
It's a very interesting angle like that you've highlighted as well. I truly appreciate that particular angle. Yes, we do have a budget, right?
Yeah.
But having said that, you still remember from the beginning of this conversation whereby you've asked a question, how do we hold these government representatives when they're responsible? And even I've mentioned of the independent, like ombudsman, like independent, like auditors. That's why also there's a gross mismanagement of the budget as well. Yes, we do have money, right? But also, having said that, we do have other needs in South Africa as well. Like South Africa is not, they are not only responsible for the Department of Education. If we can provide a free education currently as we speak, because our economy, if we can speak about the topic of economy, it's a topic for another day. So before we can look into providing like free education, we need to boost our economy. It starts with quality education. Maybe we might dive in maybe in another session, because we have not touched as well about especially the topic, how do we transform the education system as well. For example, what is wrong about the curriculum? What is responsible, or what is wrong about the current education system? For example, even the skills that the young children are being taught, they are not relevant with the global economy, because we are living in the fourth industrial revolution. So if we can empower, for example, these young people with these skills, so that they can also able to get a funding for a business, so that they can also to contribute in the economy, so that they can also in turn open up their own businesses as well, so that they can contribute positively in the economy. Then we can maybe ask a fund from this business, even private sector, by the way, has a role to play in terms of funding.
Okay.
But currently, there's no strong regulation so that the government can work together with the private sector as a relevant, as a fundamental stakeholder that will be able to fund the education system as well.
Fair enough.
Yes.
I was actually going to come up with a follow-up question on that, but because of the time, I want us to go for a quick break, have a sip of water, and come back and look into, like how can the community members and the parents, take part, in making sure that we have proper education system. We discussed that, but not in this angle. So I want us to look into that.
Yeah. Yes.
Summer Mzansi is more than a season. It's sunshine and sunny, flip-flops and short shorts. It's nights out in that new look. It's sunscreen and one too many ice creams. It's Brighton's cooler boxes and family reunions. It's that summer is here feeling. To unlock that summer feeling, download the VodaPay app or dial *133# to get your share of 500 million rand in cash and rewards. Further together, Vodacom.
Palestine need your support now. African Muslims Agency is on the ground, already providing food, medication and emergency supplies in Gaza. Donate any amount to Heal Palestine at africanmuslimsagency.co.za. African Muslims Agency.
Start to dive in terms of the curriculum.
Inspire.
I can speak until 8 o'clock if you start
on international standards.
But I'm trying to be
Some say wherever you are in the world, if you tune your radio to 88.3, you can actually hear his thoughts.
Drive time on IFM.
It is exactly 10 to 6 on IFM Drive Time, and right now we are still on the politics of the day, and we are just delving into the issue of, the current state of South African education. So we have gone through all these problems. We have gone through, the government failures whatsoever. So I want us now to shift our attention and look at the positivities on how we can actually work together in making sure that, we better our services in schools. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the studio, I'm in a conversation with Luyanda, the conscious thinker, Mfilifil. Just to help us understand more, because he's of a background, he's more vested, into these kind of matters because of the organizations that he's involved in. In any case, I don't want us to mention the names of the organizations. As long as we have introduced you earlier on, that's fine enough. But looking into other aspects, right? Another aspect to consider is the involvement of parents, as we have said earlier on, and the broader community, in education. We have touched on that.
Yes.
But how can we encourage active participation from the parents and the community at large? Community members to improve education outcomes. We have seen this issue of 30%, not really a good thing at all. You'll find that someone has, let's say, this metric paper certificate with 30%, all the way. And also you'll find that social studies there, and you have, English home language, and Xhosa home language, and then you have another subject, which is what? Life science.
Life orientation.
You have all these subjects, but they are 30%. I'm looking into that, what is this? I saw this thing on Twitter this morning. Right? I was like, this is quite hectic.
Yes.
So looking into all these things, how can, all these members of the community, organizations, come in, participate to improve the education outcomes in these respect that we're speaking about, and also what initiatives and programs, because these are the very important things, that maybe you have seen so far that are being implemented by the government or the school, so that we can have a successful future. Okay, I need to rephrase there. So that we can have proper education, system
Yes,
for
yes.
our youngsters.
Yes, yes, yes. Like in an African tradition, we have a word that we use that is called like imbizo, in a way. Imbizo. Is some sort of a community meeting whereby each and every stakeholder that is particularly involved, especially in a topic that has been addressed, like we believe in involving each and every stakeholder in terms of education system. We need to have more community meetings. It starts there. We need to organize often the regular community meetings whereby we call all the necessary stakeholders. We call the parents, we call the learners themselves, we organize the community elders, even if we organize the local businesses as well. We organize even abefundisi, like the pastors or the religious leaders as well. Also, we involve the representatives of the Department of Health, because they should be here as well.
Yes.
And also other necessary departments such as social development.
But don't we have those?
Like according to my observation, like it's a very wonderful question. We do have like those programs, but they are never implemented.
And what about IDP meetings? Are they also part of these, like bringing about the solutions and discussing about all the problems? IDP meetings, what are they for?
Okay, that's a very fundamental and very good question that you've presented. Like as I've said, my brother, meetings such as the IDP meeting, they are part of the regulation, right? Part of the regulation that has been implemented or introduced within the Department of Education. But according to my own observation, according to the observation, I'm speaking about the reality, the practicality of these meetings, we hardly experience these kind of meetings. They happen maybe in few areas or few communities, but I'm looking at the broader spectrum. I'm not just analyzing in terms of a meeting that was held in Mpumalanga or some corner. I'm speaking about like Eastern Cape. I'm speaking about the province as the whole. I'm speaking about South Africa as the whole. Those kind of meetings, I can assure you, my brother, they are not happening regularly. And there are so many different areas that are not even implementing those programs. It's only good enough in the paper because they hardly implement this kind of meetings whereby all the necessary stakeholders, especially at the ground level, I'm not even speaking at the provincial level or a district level. I'm speaking right there at the community level, like at branch level, whereby at ward level as well, at ward level. So because you'll find out that if we are analyzing the ward, each and every ward, you'll find that there are few schools that are attached to that particular ward. Even the local ward councillor should be called as well. Should be, because I mean, he or she is the leader of the community.
Let me cut you on that point. I'm looking into these IDP meetings, right? We have IFM 88.3, which plays a role in disseminating the information. I for one, I sit here, right?
Yes.
So that we can broadcast the IDP meeting.
Yes.
What happens?
Yes.
We are going to announce it. There will be IDP meeting at a certain place. Okay, cool stuff.
Yes.
Comes the time, you'll find that the IDP meeting delays.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Or we're still waiting for the counselor, or we're still waiting for people, there's no one here.
Yes.
And then boom, cancelled.
You
find that there are so many IDP meetings that are arranged, but they are always cancelled because there is no attendance.
Yes.
So as you are saying that these things are just good on the paper, but in practice, I don't think we are winning on that direction. So your last and parting shot.
Okay.
in overall of this conversation? Because I know you have,
You're
this
so
burning,
much, so much more, so much more to say. All right, to my wonderful listeners, I just want to highlight these few points. As a community, as parents, as young people, as the youth, we need to rise and stand up to make sure that we hold the government representative accountable. How will we do that? Even next year as well, it's going to be a practical opportunity whereby we're able to choose the leaders that will able to represent us. As young people, don't just watch by. Meanwhile, our future is being destroyed. Let's be involved practically to make sure that we also as young people as well, we have a fundamental responsibility to conduct our own research as well. Let's not just rely only more on the government. Let's go out there and make sure like we use these platforms, online platforms such as Google. We use the social media positively, not only for TikTok challenges as well, to make sure we use social media platforms such as X as well, to make sure we follow relevant social media accounts that will empower us. Let's make that research even on YouTube as well. YouTube is such a beautiful, fundamental platform whereby you can learn different skills as well, different skills that are aligned with the fourth industrial revolution as well. Let's go out there and open our minds so that we can uplift South Africa to a greater height so that we can compete with the top nations of the world.
Awesome stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And, like in closing for myself as well, I think I forgot to touch on one most important thing, which is about the pens down. We are going to get into that. But just your last point, your last thought in terms of pens down. What do you think about that in 30 seconds?
Like without wasting any further time, pens down, it's a very bad idea. I'm not trying to police like children. There's other ways whereby you can celebrate. There's so much other creative ways whereby you can celebrate. But remember, these are underage children who are not even supposed to attend taverns. We need to regulate those taverns. We need to make sure that we hold accountable all those tavern owners that are allowing these children to drink and alcohol as much as they are underage. That needs to be regulated to make sure that all the taverns who are promoting this negative behavior, to make sure that we are even closing those taverns, to make sure even if we normally take away even their operating licenses, because it's contributing to a lot of pandemic. Some of them, they are not even on their sober state of mind. They become reckless. Even their behaviors, they change. Some of them, they get lost along the way. They don't even return back to their homes. That is, we don't say that the children should not have fun, but let's find creative ways
of having fun.
Yes.
But I saw somewhere there, I think it was also on social media, on Twitter, where these young girls, there's a juxtaposition of two different types of girls, right?
Yes.
You have the other girls, I think about 10 of them, they're sitting on the table, peacefully, nicely, in their school uniforms, looking nice and neat, with food laid out on the table.
Yeah.
Nice stuff, right?
Yes.
And then, on the other hand, there is the picture of the very different young girls, right? School girls, in their metric, high school uniforms, written, all over, painted, whatever, with the cases of alcohol, So now there was that juxtaposition, right? Like you have this, they look so nice, so sweet, and you can look at these ones here like, these ones are so much trouble.
I saw that picture on the social media.
You saw it, ne?
Very powerful picture.
Yeah.
Yes, let's be creative. There's so much that we can do in terms of fun. Please, young people, do not allow yourself to destroy your future. Because if you start at that early age to drink alcohol, even as a young child, it creates another dimension, another negative dimension in our state that promotes even a high alcohol consumption that leads to death, that leads only to rape, that leads to other crimes that have been committed,
yes.
and so on. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Yes, I think that's where we close it. Thank you very much, Brother Luyanda, for gracing our studios. It's been a minute. It's been a while. You used to visit our studios back in the days.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a decade already.
Feels like a millennium already.
Yes. So now that you are back, I think we are going to carry this conversation further. There is more to be talked about. There is more to be done, more work to be done on the ground. So this is where you come in. Right?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Engaging with the community at large. I think that's your role, that you need to play as someone who understands much of the things, both on the community level. For me as a layman, I don't understand politics, right?
Yes.
And you are also in politics. You do understand what's happening there, you see. So you are the bridge.
Yes.
If you are the ones who's going to lie to us, then we are going to hold accountable.
Please do.
Anyway, thank you very much for that. And that was a Brother Luyanda Mfilifil. Yeah, just weighing in on the education in South Africa. And with that said, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to be zooming into the issues of Palestine and see what's happening on the ground there. This is Love and Share Salam. Yeah, Mahadi. It is exactly 4 minutes past the hour of 6 on IFM Drive Time.
Drive Time on IFM, your jam-packed show, keeping you on the go.
Thank you. Pleasure, man. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We really appreciate you being here.